Cultural identity is a concept that comes up in exams over and over again, so it begs the question, how does cultural identity inform our understandings of literature? And so the big deal here is that literature can become a lens for us to explore what it means to be part of our culture, and so therefore reading texts from other cultures allows us to expand our own views of human experience. And so what? Well, cultural identity arises from three important things. There are no doubt others, but shared symbols, shared stories, and shared beliefs. And so the important thing here, the key word in all of these, is that it's a shared ideal. It's a shared concept between people belonging to a culture. In Australia, we share our stories about where Australia comes from, and we have a general belief system that we all tend to follow. And literary texts can force us to explore, interrogate those, and some literary texts can reaffirm our sense of shared stories and shared beliefs. And so one of the texts we looked at this year, Remembering Babylon, challenges our conceptions of Australianness. It suggests that what we think of as Australian is in fact a hybrid of Aboriginal and European culture. Or Seamus Heaney locates Irish identity in the bogs. We see this through digging and bogland, and particularly through all the bog poems such as Punishment and Tolland. Heaney's an Irish nationalist, but he's not pro-IRA. And we can definitely see this through his refusal to read Requiem for the Croppies after the violence that ensued following the Bloody Sunday incident. And for Heaney, speech and identity are tied together. Poems like Whatever You Say, Say Nothing really point to how the act of speaking becomes such a political moment, and so that becomes part of the cultural identity of the Irish. And then we have Brian Friel, who tries to locate Irish identity outside the violence of the unionist nationalist paradigm. And that can no doubt be said to be part of the goal of the whole field day group. Identity cannot be separated from language for Friel, given that, particularly in translations, he draws so heavily on the work of George Steiner. And so some pointers to take from this. Well, cultural identity has to be placed against the context of the text. That's a given. And the questions we might ask ourselves might include, what is the author suggesting about the nature of their own cultural identity? What conclusions might he or she be pointing us towards? And then to tie that to the text we're reading, we can ask ourselves, how has the author shaped their text to point us in the direction of their view of cultural identity? And so when you're confronted with any question on cultural identity, it's really important to begin with two things. One, what are the common notions that you have of that culture? And how does the text interact with that conventional understanding of the culture? And when we look at those, then we can really see how the text is operating at the level of genre and language. So I hope this helps you to be able to construct an answer that links cultural identity and the text in an exam.